The air was thick with the sweet scent of magnolias. Birds chirped merrily in the verdant trees. Children's laughter echoed through the manicured streets of the peaceful suburban neighborhood. It was an idyllic summer afternoon in Huntsville, Alabama, a stark contrast to the chilling discovery that awaited within a modest brick house on the corner. The peace was shattered, the idyllic facade ripped away by the brutal murder of a young teacher, her life taken in a whirlwind of violence that left the community reeling in shock and disbelief. Her name was Sarah, a beloved figure in the community, known for her infectious laughter and unwavering kindness. She had dedicated her life to shaping young minds, her passion for teaching evident in the bright smiles of her students. Now, her life had been extinguished, a cruel and senseless act that sent shockwaves through the community and beyond. The quaint suburban haven, once a sanctuary of peace and tranquility, was now the epicenter of a nightmare. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the manicured lawns, the first responders arrived at the scene. The sight that greeted them was nothing short of horrific. The once peaceful home was now a crime scene, its serenity forever tainted by the brutal act that had taken place within its walls. The seasoned officers, hardened by years of experience with the city's underbelly, were visibly shaken by the sheer brutality of the crime. The investigation began immediately, a race against time to bring the perpetrator to justice. Every fiber of their being wanted to find the person responsible for this heinous act. The community, once a tapestry of warmth and camaraderie, was now shrouded in fear and suspicion. The idyllic facade had crumbled, revealing a darkness that sent shivers down the spines of even the most hardened souls. The hunt was on, a relentless pursuit of justice for Sarah, and a desperate attempt to restore a sense of security to a community shattered by violence. Days turned into weeks, each sunrise a painful reminder of the unsolved murder that had gripped Huntsville. The investigation, initially focused on Sarah's life and connections, took a chilling turn with a second murder in neighboring Decatur. The victim, another young woman named Emily, bore striking similarities to Sarah, both in profile and the brutality of their deaths. The modus operandi was identical, the killer leaving behind a signature of calculated rage that sent a chill down the spines of seasoned investigators. A sense of dread settled over the region, the specter of a serial predator looming large. The authorities, now facing mounting pressure to apprehend the perpetrator, established a multi-agency task force, pooling resources and expertise to track down the elusive killer. The FBI joined the investigation, bringing with them the weight of federal resources and a wealth of experience in profiling and hunting down dangerous criminals. The pressure mounted, every passing day fueling the urgency to stop the killer before they could claim another victim. The investigation intensified, a web of forensic analysis, witness interviews, and behavioral profiling slowly being woven together. Each crime scene yielded clues, each piece of evidence a stepping stone in the dark labyrinth of the killer's psyche. The authorities were relentless, their determination fueled by a potent mix of professional obligation and a deep-seated need to bring solace to the grieving families. The manhunt expanded, casting a wide net across state lines as the killer seemed to vanish into thin air, leaving behind a trail of blood and terror. As the investigation progressed, a pattern emerged, a chilling tapestry woven from the killer's gruesome handiwork. Each crime scene bore eerie similarities, the victims chosen with a chilling precision that spoke of premeditation and meticulous planning. The killer, it seemed, was not driven by random impulse but by a dark and twisted fantasy, meticulously planned and executed with chilling efficiency. The authorities knew they were dealing with a predator of the highest order, a cunning and elusive adversary who seemed to be always one step ahead. The case took a dramatic turn when a witness came forward, providing a vital clue that cracked open the investigation. A waitress at a roadside diner, just outside Birmingham, Alabama, reported a chilling encounter with a man matching the suspect's description. He had been acting nervously, his eyes darting around the diner as if he was expecting to be followed. She remembered a distinctive tattoo on his arm, a coiled serpent with ruby eyes, a detail that sent a jolt of electricity through the task force. The witness's account, corroborated by security camera footage from the diner, provided the first concrete lead in the case. The image of the suspect, his face partially obscured by a baseball cap, was circulated nationwide, a bounty placed on his head. The media went into a frenzy, the story of the Alabama murders dominating headlines and gripping the nation with a mix of horror and fascination. The pressure on the task force intensified, the eyes of the nation now watching their every move, their hopes pinned on the capture of the elusive killer. The breakthrough they desperately needed came from an unexpected source. A pawnshop owner in rural Mississippi contacted the FBI, recognizing the suspect from the news reports. He had recently pawned a distinctive watch, identified as belonging to one of the victims. The pawnbroker's tip-off provided the crucial link the authorities needed, placing the suspect in the vicinity of the latest murder. The net was closing in, the manhunt zeroing in on the small town of Natchez, Mississippi. The task force descended upon Natchez, a sleepy town on the banks of the Mississippi River, now transformed into a scene of intense activity. Local law enforcement, federal agents, and forensic teams swarmed the area. Their every move followed closely by a media contingent eager for any scrap of information. The air crackled with tension, the palpable fear in the air a testament to the gravity of the situation. The manhunt had reached its climax, the final act of this chilling drama about to unfold. Under the cloak of darkness, the task force surrounded a dilapidated motel on the outskirts of Natchez. The suspect, Mark Vincent, a drifter with a history of violence, was hiding out in one of the rooms. The motel, a bleak structure on the fringes of society, was a fitting hideout for one of America's most wanted criminals. The silence was broken by the agents' whispers as they prepared to move. Hours ticked by, each one an eternity. The tension was palpable, the air thick with anticipation. Every rustle, every creak, sent a jolt of adrenaline through the team. The fate of the investigation, the safety of a community, rested on their next move. Just when their nerves were stretched to the breaking point, a figure emerged from room 12. He was silhouetted against the dim light, his features obscured. It was Vincent. He looked around cautiously, his hand near his waistband. The moment had arrived, the culmination of weeks of pursuit. FBI, hands where we can see them! The command echoed through the night. Vincent froze, his eyes wide with fear. For a split second, he seemed to contemplate running, his hand reaching for something. But the sight of the armed agents, their faces grim, gave him pause. He slowly raised his hands in surrender, his shoulders slumping. The long nightmare was finally over. The news of Vincent's capture spread like wildfire, a collective sigh of relief sweeping across the affected communities. The manhunt that had gripped the nation for weeks had finally come to an end. The image of Vincent being led away in handcuffs, his face a mask of defeat, was splashed across newspapers and television screens, a tangible symbol of justice served. The sense of relief was palpable, the weight of fear that had hung heavy in the air finally lifting. The trial was swift, the evidence against Vincent overwhelming. He was found guilty on multiple counts of murder and sentenced to life in prison, without the possibility of parole. The verdict brought a sense of closure, a sense that the scales of justice had been balanced. But the scars of his crimes ran deep, a painful reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most seemingly peaceful communities. Life slowly began to return to a semblance of normalcy in the aftermath of the trial. The constant fear that had haunted the streets gradually receded, replaced by a cautious optimism. The healing process was slow, each community grappling with the trauma in their own way. Memorials were held, candles lit, and stories shared, a way of honoring the victims and finding solace in shared grief. The case of the Alabama murder served as a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the shadows, but it also highlighted the resilience of the human spirit. The communities, once terrorized by a predator in their midst, came together. Their shared grief and determination, a testament to the enduring power of hope and the unwavering belief in the triumph of good over evil. The scars might remain, but so too would the memory of the victims, their lives a beacon of light in the darkness.